Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael, KE4EST, Kilo Echo 4 Echo Sierra Tango. Okay, we'll start off with, I'll just say right off the bat, I know there's like a little buzz in there. This is not my ideal setup. I usually have it set up, but I can't find the other microphone I'm looking for, so maybe it's not going to be too bad. I'll try to take out as much of it as I can in post, but we'll see what happens. Alright, anyway, I get this question off and on every so many months. It's not, daily, but ever so often. And I got a guy currently who's just having trouble trying to figure out the setup on this, on the satellite installation screen, and what some of this stuff means here. So what we're going to do is kind of go over this real quick and give an understanding of what's going on here. So I got into this by hitting the menu button on the remote and went into satellite installation. As you can see at the top of the screen, it says satellite installation menu. Okay, now satellite up here, the first thing on top of the list here is satellite. Okay, maybe it's a little bit brighter there. Satellite. No, that should be about the same. I think you can see it good enough. Okay. This just shows your list of satellites. Now I'll put in, when I ship these receivers out, there's the North American satellites are the most common North American satellites that everybody can hit. And I've got them in here by their orbital location, like I've got selected now 101 West, and by the designator that it's called right now, because right now currently there's SES1 is the satellite name that's at 101 West. It could blow up or die or when it goes out or whatever. Of course, hopefully not. That one's relatively new. But sometimes they'll change the satellites around or whatever. So say they put, whatever reason they decide to put Galaxy 16 101 and SES1 at 99. Doubt that'll ever happen. It'll confuse a lot of people, but if they did, they'll still be at the same slot. It's just a different satellite, and they'll probably be broadcasting the same thing. Okay, so you got your satellites here. You pick which one you want. Kind of, keep it with the orbital slot. All right, and then anytime you're in, like I've said in other videos, you've got it like this. If you hit the exit button on the remote, you're going to go back to the main view in like watching TV mode. So what you want to do is hit menu on the remote to go back one time. Okay, I was just looking over there. You think they would say that over there at the side, on the right hand side, with all the other stuff for the key there. But anyway, moving on down to LNB type. Now this is standard, universal, there's unicable, and user you can set up your own way you want to set it up. But most of this stuff, what you're going to worry about in North America is standard. And for C-band, that's 5150. For your local oscillator, that's 5.15 gigahertz. And if you're in KU, you're going to usually be 10750. That's 10.75 gigahertz or 10,750 megahertz, however you want to look at it. So that's what you're going to usually set it on. I'm on C-band, so it won't be 5150. There's some exceptions to that, but the basic stuff you just go by, off the shelf. LNB, then that's what it's usually going to be. Now if you happen to have an LNBF for say KU, there is some for C-band, but it's more common for the KU. It says universal on, or it's a universal. You've heard it's a universal. You think it's universal. You can go to universal, and normally it's 9750 and 10600. It's got two local oscillators. There's a 22 kilohertz signal that'll go either on or off so the LNBF knows which one to pick. Okay, to do your scan or whatever. But normally it's going to be standard. Menu to go back. Your transponder index, that's just the index, your list of your transponders that you currently have programmed into this particular receiver. You can delete them out, you can do whatever. You see on the right hand side there's TP edit, transponder edit. If I push the yellow button, I can go in and edit and change this stuff. And if you look over there again, I can hit yellow again to delete. I can add a transponder however I want to do it. Okay, menu again to go back. So that's that on the transponder index. Now the DiSEqC commands, 1.0, 1.1, just to be very basic with it, not go into a lot of detail to make this video short. DiSEqC 1.0 is usually your 4x1 multi switches. If you're wanting to say have, you know, more than up to 4, from 2 to 4 physical dishes planted in your yard that's fixed, or they could be on a motor, but a lot of times people have them fixed on different satellites, so they ain't got to wait for a motor. They can just switch back and forth, and that you would go into what port you got it on. And there's 2-port ones, there's 4-port ones, and you can say I got it on port 2. This, you know, where this dish is at this satellite for 101 West, I've got it on port 2. You know, but if you're not using any of that, just disable that. DiSEqC 1.1 is a little more advanced, and it lets you go up to, you know, that's what your biggest switches, like your 1x8, 1x16s, things like that. And then you can also do a combination, but that gets more, you know, that'll get more beyond the scope of this video, where you can have an 8 switch, 1x8 switch, a DiSEqC 1.1, and then you can have a 4-port 1.0 switch going into that, so you can have 11 satellite positions in that setup. But a lot of times you need to get using power inserter and things like that, because the receiver just can't, you know, handle all that current, you know, to feed all that. And that's, we'll just jump ahead. That's what this right here is. LNB power on or off. If you can't get a signal, seems like nothing ain't working, it ain't supposed to be. Default is off, but could happen. Make sure your LNB power is turned on. The only time you turn that off is if you daisy chain like receivers, or if you got your own power inserter, something like that. And then sometimes you still have to have LNB power on with power inserter, depends on the setup. So most time, 99.9% LNB power on, leave it on. Okay, let's go ahead and go backwards here. This polarity is if you want to manually set your polarity. You know, you usually leave it on auto, so when you're doing a scan or something, it'll go back and forth between the two polarities and catch, because each transponder's got 2 antennas on it, one vertically and one horizontally polarized, so that way you can double the channels up. And so that's well, it's not quite exactly that way, but you get the point. So I'm trying to make this video short, and I'm so bad to start going into some big long tail and explain, you know, when somebody says what time it is, tell them how to build a watch instead of say, hey man, it's 12:30. So I keep catching myself here. I'm trying to make this short and just get to the point and get, you know, get you going if you're not familiar with what is all these settings and what do I need to do. So usually just leave that on auto. This here, either what you want to do with it, but just leave it alone. That is for this particular chipset in this receiver has the ability to, with some external circuitry on the board, you can come off to a circuit that will turn on a 12-volt power jack in the back of the receiver for accessories or something, but this receiver don't have anything like that, so just don't worry about that one. 22K on and off is if you want to use 22K switches, or if you want to manually set up a universal LNBF and you don't want to use both sides, you just want to say just the 10.6 side. Just put it on your LNB type at the top, on higher up here, you put it on standard. Set that for 10.600, then go down here and turn the 22K on, and that'll just keep that LNB on the 10.600 all the time, because like I said, that's how it switches back and forth. There's also 22K switches. Usually they're 2-port. It's either on or off. The DiSEqC, it kind of uses the same thing, but it modulates, data down on that 22K. What this 22K is just a 22 kilohertz signal that rides along on the coax on the same, without getting into technical details. It rides along with your video and audio signal from your satellite, and it's 22 kilohertz. It's way down there, away from everything else. It's higher than what your human can hear, but it's way lower than, so don't interfere anyway with the satellite signal. And it just rides on the same coax. The switch, though, is designed to look for that, and it'll turn on. It'll change the ports on the switch, or if it's in universal LMBs, universal LMBFs, they've got a little switch built into them. It'll switch back and forth. That's all that's there for. So unless you're using any of that, just leave that off. Okay, so let's get into the positioner, if I can talk. I already did this video once and it didn't take right, so I have to do it again. So, alright, so positioner will either be your USALs, like the little small USAL motors, like for your KU band dishes, little small dishes, or you want to use, and you see it's got USALs off, or DiSEqC 1.2. This will be for your, if you want to use something like a V-Box or a G-Box or an ASC1 controller, this is what you want to set it on. Okay, so you go, and before you even do this, you're on 101 West, you put in a transponder here, you've got your dish dialed in, everything's working good, and you're like, okay, I want to program that now. And if you've got your coax coming out of your receiver, a jumper going to your ASC1, and then from the other port on ASC1 on out to your dish, your switches or whatever, this will send a DiSEqC 1.2 command ride along on that coax, same coax. It'll just ride along there and go to it. But you go down here and you say, okay, I want to do this because I've got regular C-band dish set up. This is for C-band. Then click on it, hit the OK button on the remote, and it gives you this screen. Now from this screen you can change and set different satellites if you got a bunch you want to set in a row, like you've got your dish positioner already set up and programmed in with different ones, so you can manually just tell it to go to next satellite, next satellite. You can tell it to go to 101, you got 101, get it programmed in, then manually push it and tell it to go to 103, and then you can go over here and go to 103 and do it all from this one screen at one time if you want to. Let's say we're at 101, back to our example. You come down here and you can pick your transponders here. If you want to kind of peek out, you can take the dish or the manually push the buttons on the front of your your dish mover to click it a little bit left or right, back and forth. Just kind of look at your level down here and get that zeroed in. That's what that's for up there. And this, for setting your limits, your east and west limits, which I'm not going to get into that in this video, but that's what that's for there. And here you can step it. You can hit it, bump it one way, bump it the other way. See how it just quickly popped up east, west, and it'll send one little pulse to your dish mover to bump the dish. And this one lets you hold it. As long as I'm holding that remote or button down on the remote, it's going to tell that dish to go, keep moving that dish one way. Or from west, bring it back from the west, it'll move. But most of the time I don't use those. I'll manually do it on the front of the ASC1, say, like what I'm using, till I get it where I want it, watching my signals and everything, then I'll go down and program it. But there is times where you're like sitting on the couch and something just seems like it's breaking up a little bit. Now what is going on? Maybe the dishes moved a little somehow. It's been a few months since I've been out there. You can go up here and just hit that there and see if you can bump the signal up, and then the next day or the weekend or whatever, you can go out there and check your alignment on your dish or whatever. But once you get everything set and it's where you want it, then you come to here, position. You have your dish mover, your ASC1 or your V-Box, G-Box, whatever, set where you want it. And the dish has got a good signal. You're ready to program it. You pick which one you want, and it gives you 60 in this particular receiver. You got 60 different ones you can pick from, save locations. So you might want to start off with your far west or your far east. So you start at the far east, and that'd be position 1. Next satellite over to position 2. Or you might want to kind of make a list of everything you can get before you really start doing this and seeing how many satellites do I have. I've only got 60 positions to work with, so you're not going to have 60, satellite positions usually. But you can kind of say, well, there used to be a satellite at 89 West, but now it's gone. Or there used to be one at 83 West, and it's gone. Maybe they might bring something back. So I'll put this one here, but the next one I'll put on 3. I'll skip one. To kind of what I try to do. But once you get it and say you want to put it on 3, so you decide you want to put this on number 3. You come down here to save, hit save, and it says, are you sure you want to save? And hit yes. And what that's going to do is it's going to save it in the receiver. That from now on it knows that you want 101 West to be 3. And you can go in and turn off the motor control to off, and it won't send the pulse. But as long as it's on, it's going to send that pulse out to your box and tell it to move. Now, when you do hit save and hit yes, I'm sure I want to save, if you look on the front of your box, like an ASC one will tell you that it's saving the position, and it'll be number 3. Like a V box, it'll flash a couple times and it'll pop up a 3. So it's got it. And then you just go on to the next one. You can do it from here if you already got your positioner set up, or you can move your positioner manually right now east and west till you find the next one. But it's kind of a good idea to go through and do a lot of blind scanning and getting everything found out, But we won't go over recalculation and go to reference and stuff right now in this video, but there's how that's set up. Menu again to go back. Now once you say we go back to this 101, and so you look at that moving dish, it's telling it that the dishes, it's sent the pulse to move the dish. Okay, so you're ready to scan. Okay, and you want to see what's on this. You can do a blind scan or manual scan or transponder scan. A transponder scan is just going to whatever list of transponders you have right now. I've just got the one for this example, but say you had 10, it's just going to go and check, each one like this one here, check 3810 vertical 30,000. See if there's any new channels. It'll go to the next one on the list and it'll do that. So it's kind of a quick way if you just want to, like if you got some transponders, it's hot all the time, or sports feeds or news feeds or something just comes up all the time and say, hey man, I just heard that something blowed up somewhere. Let me go and see if I can scan some of these news ones that I know it's always active and find a new channel to watch to see what's going on. Okay. But what most people do is do the blind scan. Now on the blind scan, that transponder scan, like I said, it's just green over. You hit it, and it's going to let you decide how you want to scan that transponder. Okay. Menu again. Most people go to blind scan. If you hit the white button on the remote, it's just going to jump right into a blind scan. It's going to scan everything. It's going to scan for free air channels. It's going to scan for scrambled channels. It's going to scan radio, TV, and it'll do everything from, say if it's on C-band, from 3700 to 42. It just scan the whole range. If you got, or you kind of want to tailor that a little bit, you hit the red button on the remote over here. You can see that's corresponding to the red single scan. Hit that. Go up here and pick free or all. Okay. And then you want TV and radio. You want just TV. You want just radio. And a manual scan, you want to scan just that one transponder we got programmed in that's behind this box here. Or do you want to just scan everything? And that's what a blind scan will do. And you just go down and say okay to search, and it'll start searching. Of course, first it's going to make sure the dish is moved properly. But I'm going to stop that because I don't have anything hooked up on that right now. But anyway, that's kind of the satellite installation screen in a nutshell. Maybe a little bit more expanded, but I hope that this will help somebody get it going and figured out that's not familiar with this, either brand new to satellites in general, or it's been 10, 15, 20 years and you used to know analog stuff and everything's changed, and what's all these settings and what does all this mean. And so I hope that'll kind of help you get going there. There's more stuff over there. You can hit the satellite menu or the satellite button on the remote. You can go in and move satellites around, change, edit, delete, whatever you want to do. Same with transponders. Hit the transponder edit. There's so many different things you can do here, but I don't want to get into a 2-hour video. So anyway, hope you found this helpful, and don't forget to, if you liked it, reach down and hit that like button underneath the video. And if you're not subscribed and you'd like to see more stuff like this, just hit the subscribe button. And if you've already subscribed to this channel, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Michael, KE4EST 73.